Some days we all wish we could be Marty McFly. Who doesn't want to alter the past to make a better present? That all seems like a pipe dream because time travel is statistically impossible, right? Wrong. Thanks to some deep digging, TheHub has found these 10 theories that prove time travel exists. We're no Einstein, but we can find enough intriguing evidence to believe there's a way to break through the space-time continuum and come out the other side in a new place, whether it be the distant past or the far-off future. Let's take a trip and see what we can find. And just as the flux capacitor powers your DeLorean to take you wherever in time you need to go, we are very excited to announce the Premium Network. The Premium gets you early access to videos from The Richest, Screen Rant, The Taco, The Sportster, The Things, and many other great channels. Literally thousands of videos in one place with ad-free browsing. Check out the Premium by clicking this link. Sign up for free and start binge watching videos from your favorite channels. The red subscribe button will take you to countless exciting new places only accessible through TheHub. South Fork Bridge reopening. After a major flood in Goldbridge, British Columbia, the town's South Fork Bridge was closed for repairs. Upon its reopening in November 1941, a black and white photograph was taken commemorating the local event. Thus began the legend of the time-traveling hipster. In a sea of fedoras and side parts, this man's hair is the type of unkempt messiness that would seem at home in a modern freshman dorm. With others wearing reading glasses or no spectacles at all, this guy displays an unmistakable pair of shades over his unfazed eyeballs. While others wear suits and the more formal attire of the day, this man wears an open sweater that could probably be bought for $70 at an Urban Outfitters near you, only a mere couple of weeks before the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor that brought the United States into World War II. Beneath it, he's wearing what seems like a graphic t-shirt. All the while, he's holding a small portable camera, perhaps to document the occasion for his civilization in the year 2300. Does the rebuilding of this bridge have major implications for later events? We may not know yet, and there may be some simple explanation for his clothing, but one thing's for sure, we're onto you, future boy. We're onto you. Woman with cell phone. A woman walking on a busy sidewalk while deep in a cell phone conversation shouldn't be a surprising sight. Only this woman happens to be from the Great Depression. The year was 1938, and this footage shows her carrying and speaking into a small handheld device, and not in the manner anyone would talk into a walkie-talkie. It wasn't until 1973 that testing for cellular telephones was in full swing, and nearly a decade after that where the first wireless phones were mass-produced. Cell phones were cumbersome and rare things, so naturally seeing one 30 to 40 years earlier gives us pause. The footage depicts the woman leaving work at the DuPont factory with other female workers, happily chatting away. Even in those days, DuPont was developing telecommunications, but no portable telephones were available commercially at that time. Another woman appeared carrying a cell phone in earlier footage, this time in additional material available on special features for the DVD of Charlie Chaplin's 1928 film, The Circus. If you have a copy available, keep an eye out for the mysterious woman from the future and wonder why she had the best reception on a silent film set nearly 90 years ago. Can she hear us now? Rudolph Fentz. The odd tale of Rudolph Fentz begins like any ordinary day, in the Twilight Zone. On a sunny day in 1950, in the middle of Times Square, the hustle and bustle of New York City was on full display, crowded with tourists, businessmen, shoppers, and vendors. But the busy square was about to get shaken up by the appearance of an even older and timier individual. With a loud crash, the traffic came to a halt, and the bystanders became witnesses as a man in a Victorian-era suit and a 19th century demeanor was struck dead by a passing streetcar. According to materials found on his person, Rudolph Fentz was his name, and by the look of the contents in his pocket, they found old currency, a receipt for a horse and buggy, and business cards, and a letter noting his address on 5th Avenue. After a long search by the NYPD, it was discovered that a Rudolph Fentz Jr. had died 5 years before. The widow disclosed that her husband's father went missing in 1876 at the age of 29 and was never heard from again. Could that missing person have been the Mr. Fentz who appeared one fine day in 1950, found again after 74 years? The time-traveling trader. 44-year-old Andrew Carlson had a knack for playing the stock market. He always left with more than he put in, and it seemed like his luck was too uncanny. It brought him big rewards, but also some unwanted recognition by the US Secretary and Exchange Commission. In 2003, he was in their custody, the subject of an investigation trying to figure out how this strange man was able to gain $350 million after only investing $800. It was a gain that could only have been explained by incredibly exclusive information, and he didn't rack up this big gain by just a couple of choice investments. He made this exorbitant sum after 126 high-risk trades. It was as if he had the stock market equivalent to Biff's Sports Almanac from Back to the Future 2. In a bid to gain immunity, Carlson divulged to investigators the unbelievable fact that he's a time traveler from the year 2256. He offered up information including the ingredients needed to cure AIDS, as well as the location of Osama bin Laden's hiding place. While the authorities discounted this as a crock of baloney, they did admit that there were no records of Mr. Carlson prior to 2002, thus leaving the mystery unsolved. Berenstain or Berenstain Bears. A conspiracy theory taking the internet by storm involves the spelling of the characters from a children's book. Imagine your favorite cartoon bears from childhood. Sure, there's Winnie the Pooh, but there's also a family of bears that go by the name of Berenstain. Remember them? Good. Now spell it out for yourself as you remember it. Berenstein? If you thought their name ended in EIN, then you've been remembering it incorrectly, and chances are you're one of many. Thousands of YouTube views and Reddit comments later, an entire army of web users have come to the unsettling conclusion that our shared memory of the Berenstain Bears surname is proof that we live in some kind of alternate reality. In fact, this kind of thinking is referred to as the Mandela effect, named because of a large number of people sharing the same memory of Nelson Mandela dying when he was in prison. Theorists claim that these shared memories are the result of, say, a person going back in time and changing a past event that leaves a common dreamlike recollection of the old timeline, even if that event no longer exists. Go ahead and fall down the Google rabbit hole of alternate dimensions. It'll be a fun way to keep yourself awake at night. Iranian time machine. Iranian inventor Ali Rezeki claims to have mastered the art of time travel, or at least time prediction. With over 170 patents registered with the Iranian government, it's not out of precedent to take him at his word, and apparently his announcement was removed from the state-run internet service shortly after he made it. The knee-jerk reaction of his government begs the question, is there actually some kind of time-manipulating device that they're hiding? If so, Ali states that it has the ability to bring the future to you. Although it can't transport anyone to another historical location, he says it can predict the actions of the next 5 to 8 years of the machine's user with 98% accuracy, which would be incredibly useful for any government trying to plan ahead. But how could this kind of technology work? Would it read a user's palm or read a user's dream journal? Your guess is as good as ours, but don't go sticking your hand in any old computer as a do-it-yourself experiment. This special machine, if it even exists, is hidden away under tight lock and key. The Chronovisor. According to author and lawyer Alfred Lambermont Weber, the Vatican has a secret device known as the Chronovisor, which is used like a television. It's just a box with a screen and a whole lot of knobs. Although the viewer can't interact with any one moment throughout history, he or she could use the device to witness events as they panned out within days, centuries, and even millennia ago. The technology can reportedly pick up traces left by past events, and the readings show up as moving images on the view screen. Weber has claimed the Chronovisor was provided to the CIA and other European governments as a mean to predict things that have not yet happened and groom future leaders for positions of power. No concrete proof exists to confirm his statements as true, but it is interesting and altogether creepy to imagine that the history playing out before our eyes has been pre-planned by the world powers that be. Weber, whose ideas have found loud supporters and detractors within the wider community of conspiracy theorists, is patiently waiting for the time when WikiLeaks discloses the existence of the Chronovisor to the general public. Only time will tell if his beliefs are true. The Man from Taured. Another instance worthy of a Stephen King novel is the story of the Man from Taured. While the man was by all accounts very real, the place he hailed from was not. At least, not real in our history. Appearing in a Japanese airport in the 1950s, a European business reported to customs with a story that seemed to check out, except for one minor detail. All his papers stated he was from a country that did not exist, showing the authorities a passport, identification, and currency that all showed he was from the country of Taured. When the Japanese officials showed him a map of Europe, he stated it was in between France and Spain. To his surprise, Taured's place was taken by the very small and very real country of Andorra, nestled on the border of the two larger nations. Customs decided to hold him overnight while they figured out what to do with him, but the next day, he was gone. Perhaps he hailed from a country that was like Andorra in every way, except in an entirely different universe, created under slightly different circumstances in a timeline that diverged from ours centuries ago. Ancient Plains. Ancient Egyptian culture is so far removed from modern society, we don't even know what their language sounded like when spoken aloud. It wasn't until the discovery of the Rosetta Stone, the tablet, not the software, that modern linguists were able to compare the hieroglyphic symbols to ancient Greek and then fully comprehend it into an understandable translation today. Egyptians were able to build massive structures and accomplish major wonders thousands of years before a glimmer of our technology existed. Without a doubt, they were master craftsmen, but some say that technical know-how wasn't just born in them. They believe the Egyptians had help from supernatural sources. If that's the case, maybe that help came from the future. Hieroglyphs found on the face of the pyramid built in Seti I's honor depict images that look an awful lot like helicopters, cars, planes, and rocket ships. Some archaeologists are quick to argue that these images resemble other pre-existing hieroglyphs in many ways, except for a misplaced fin here or a propeller there. They say that the images we see today may be misspellings and typos on the original sculptor's part, yet with all the supernatural stories associated with Egypt's ruins, we prefer to believe these ancients were in cahoots with time travelers. Johnny Depp. Sure, Johnny Depp played Captain Jack Sparrow, but this online theory makes it easy to imagine he could also have been a pirate in real life, and maybe he was a blacksmith, and a centurion, and a caveman too. When he's performing, Depp has an ethereal, otherworldly quality that seems to come from an uncanny wealth of human experience. Maybe that experience of wisdom beyond his years stems from the fact that he's a well-traveled Time Lord. To prove this case, a photograph from the early 1900s reflects the spitting image of that modern-day human chameleon, and it's got to be him. It's just gotta be. Although Reddit member MWJStone14 claims the photograph is one of his grandfather, we know better. You may be a Hollywood actor taking in the big bucks, but we know you're really an interdimensional time warper bent on keeping yourself eternally youthful. Nice try, Johnny Depp. Nice try. Other celebrities with age-old doppelgangers are Alec Baldwin and his musty old spirit twin, Millard Fillmore, Jack Black and the Midnight Rider himself, Paul Revere, and Mark Zuckerberg, and the refined Philip IV of Spain. Perhaps they're related, perhaps they're coincidental lookalikes, or perhaps they're all members of a secret organization bent on taking over the world. No matter what time you're from, you can't deny these are some crazy and interesting theories. And if you're a time traveler, thanks for visiting. When the future gets boring, you're always welcome to stop by and see whatever fresh topics are being explored by The Hub. See you then!